The reason the MCU was as successful as it was because the movies were new, they were fresh, they were different to other superhero movies that we'd seen before. We didn't know superhero movies could become cinema like what they were able to do with movies like Captain America Civil War, or the first Iron Man movie, or the first few Avengers films, even all of the Avengers films, actually. I don't know what I'm talking about first few. All of the Avengers movies were excellent. They were cinema at its best. The best blockbuster movies we'd ever seen were coming from the MCU. And every movie they put out was new, was fresh, was a cool take. The Spider-Man that they brought up, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, was very different to Spider-Mans that we'd seen before. They did a new take on the story, and everyone loved it. They were taking constant creative risks. Every movie was different. Now it seems like every MCU movie follows the same basic plot. And also, it's dampened by the fact that they opened up this multiverse, which means that anything that happens doesn't matter, because if you defeat Kang in this universe, Kang the Conqueror from another universe will just come over. Like, it just makes it pointless. Anything they do in any of their movies now with the MCU are just pointless. And they became so formulaic, so predictable, and just bland and one-dimensional. And even when it came down to the cinematography, they would shoot movies differently. The way they shot Spider-Man would be different to the way that they shoot a movie like Captain America. Now, they shoot all the MCU movies the same way. If you watch Ant-Man Quantumania, and then you go and watch, I would say, James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy, the last Guardians of the Galaxy, they're shot very similar. While the movies are drastically different in their storyline, their plot, and their quality, as Guardians of the Galaxy is a little bit better than Quantumania, it's still shot the same way. It's very bland. They're not taking any cinematography risks. There's just no creative risks. And the only way you can succeed in any art form is by taking those creative risks, because art without risk isn't bulletproof. It's boring, bland, and we've seen it before. And when you've seen something before, you don't enjoy it as much. And Disney were taking so many risks, but now when it comes to all of their films, they came up with a formula, or they thought, you know what, we're only going to release a movie if it has a guaranteed audience base, because that way we're guaranteed to make money, and we'll just make it the same way that we made every other movie because they like those, so why wouldn't they like it if we just do it again? Unfortunately, that's not how art works. It's called a creative medium. The reason it's a creative medium is you have to create, which means you have to do something new, something fresh. Yes, you can pull from what you've done before, what's worked before, but you have to mix it and match it in a way that we've never seen before in order to keep it interesting. When they did Captain America Civil War, that was so different to any other MCU movie they had made before, and people loved it. Then they did Avengers Infinity War, and that was so different to every other Avengers movie. Then Avengers Endgame wrapped that whole saga. That was different. They were taking so many risks. And when you look at the few films that have succeeded for the MCU in the last 2 years, you have Spider-Man No Way Home, which was made by Sony, not even Disney. But that was different. That had all the Spider-Mans coming together. It was fresh. It was new. And then maybe look at Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which was the second Black Panther movie after Chadwick Boseman had died. So it was Black Panther without Chadwick Boseman. That's different. People were interested in what was going to happen. The only films that have succeeded for Disney and for the MCU were movies that were different, that had something new to it. But all of their other films were just the same. Eternals, it was just the same basic plot points. It followed the simple 12-step story structure that every movie follows and didn't change anything in any way. You need to do things unique. Creativity relies on creative risks, and they've taken none, and that's why they flopped.